Okay, so you're not seeing results in the gym like you expected, and that's because you don't know what workout programs to do. That's who this video is for, is if you're not sure what workout program to do and you're jumping from this or that, then continue to listen. So in this video, we're going to work on eliminating sort of workout confusion, eliminating the confusion that comes around working out in the gym and not knowing what to do. We're going to pick one workout plan to do, which is going to give you the ultimate clarity to just do the plan. And we're going to get rid of some myths and things that people believe about workouts. And when you do this plan, guaranteed results. Like guaranteed results if you do it exactly how I showed you. Okay, so moving into it, right, you probably feel relatively overwhelmed if you're first joining the gym. So many people, as a trainer, I see people come in the gym, they just kind of like hop from machine to machine, but they have no plan because they're overwhelmed by how many things are there in the gym. There's a lot of options, okay? And I also see that people are always switching routines, switching workout plans, switching styles for the next and the best, whatever they see on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever social media. And because of that, they're not seeing any results. And then they've been going for 3 months, but don't really see any result or any improvement. And so they just kind of give up, or they get injured and they give up. And then they don't come to the gym for a while, and then they stay overweight, out of shape, weak, and it sucks. So as a trainer and a coach, I see people do this all the time. I see them waste so much time and they never see results, and that sucks. So here's the plan, right? I'm gonna show you why all that is happening, like why the routines aren't working. I'm gonna show you what to do instead, and then I'm gonna show you how you can see progress and actually see the results. So what you might think is that there's some sort of secret workout that you need to do to get jacked or to lose weight. There's really no secret. If we're looking at bodybuilders here, there's some bodybuilders that use really heavy weight with low reps and they get really jacked. You have some bodybuilders that are more focused on lighter weight and doing high reps, and they get jacked. So there's not some secret sauce, some secret workout to do that is like, oh man, that's gonna like give me the results and nothing else can. All of it is method. We want to look at the principle. If you follow the principle to getting muscle, the principle to being strong, the principle to losing weight, all those things, then you will see success. But one specific method is not going to really be any better than the next. It's going to be based off of principles. So what you also might think is that you have to keep hopping around until you find the perfect workout, the perfect routine. You might think that it's like, oh wow, somebody showed me how to do a one-legged hip thrust upside down, and like that's the secret, that's what's gonna give me results. And then it's like, oh, but then next week someone else shows me a sideways, crisscrossed, applesauced, hip thrust, and man, okay, and now I'm following that. But because you're jumping week after week to a different movement, different exercise, then that's why you're not seeing the results. You might also think that, so now I'm gonna show why that's basically wrong. So for example, muscles have no idea what a workout name is. They don't know that it's this special workout that has a special name. Muscles don't know, or your body doesn't know that, oh man, you're doing P90X and that's gonna get you results, or oh my gosh, you're doing CrossFit, I better show results. Your body doesn't know that. All your body really knows is whether you're putting it under the amount of stress that it's gonna need to adapt and to change. And we need to do that consistently and then progress the stress, because over time your body will adapt to it, which means we need to make the things harder than they were before so that we continue to progress. So what your muscles do know are mechanical tension and progressive overload. So I'm gonna explain those two things. Mechanical tension is just when you have some sort of load on your muscle that is having to strain against it. That's mechanical tension. Now you can have a little bit of mechanical tension, or you could have a lot of mechanical tension. The idea is that the more mechanical tension you get, then the more stimulus you have on the muscle to cause it to grow. So there's a sweet point here, because let's say you pick up a 5-pound dumbbell and you're decently strong. So a 5-pound dumbbell, you can lift that, but you could do that probably forever and never fail. Like, you could just lift it forever. I remember one time, me and one of my friends, one of my best friends, Carl, just recently saw him, went out to Colorado to see him, and his wife and his son and some of our other friends. Anyways, we picked up some like 10-pound dumbbells and we were just repping them. And I said, Carl, let's just go. Let's just keep going until we can't no more. And we just kept going and going and going. And we were at like something like 300 plus reps. And then, you know, he had to go and do something or whatever. So I said, okay, Carl, you go. I'm gonna keep going. So I'm going. I'm at like 500 reps. I'm going. And eventually it was just like, okay, I'm never going to like reach the point where I reach failure, where I can't lift it anymore. So it's like, it's just time to go. So it's like, you can just, 5 pounds, you could go pretty much forever. So the amount of mechanical tension that you're getting is just so low that you're not gonna cause much physical adaptation in terms of actual muscle size or strength. However, doing it for that long is going to stimulate your mitochondria. So in terms of endurance, that would help there. In terms of saying the body, hey, put some more blood vessels there, yes, it would do that. So there are some benefits of doing something like that, but you can get a lot of those same benefits from just doing heavier weight so that you get the benefit of actual strength and muscle size. So if we go, let's say, super heavy, so the heaviest that you could possibly do, like a 1 rep max on like bench press, like 1 rep max, okay? If you're doing that, yes, you are putting a lot of mechanical tension on that muscle. However, you're only doing it for 1 rep. So mechanical tension needs to have enough frequency that it causes enough stimulus. So 1 rep max is not gonna cause enough stimulus to really increase muscle mass as much as we would like. It's still gonna increase some, but not as much as we could get. Now it is gonna increase your strength. However, the fatigue that you get from our 1 rep max, because it's so high, it's gonna tax your central nervous system a lot. And so now you're very fatigued. So what's actually better is if, let's say you're doing something just for strength, as you would do sub-maximal, so below your 1 rep max for several reps, that's gonna be less fatigue on you, and it's still gonna get you great strength gains. In terms of muscle mass, if you can be within, it doesn't really matter how many reps you do. What matters is that you reach either failure, mechanical failure, or you reach close to it. So that's gonna mean if you're doing a bicep curl, if you get to the point where you can't lift it up anymore with good form, maybe you could like, use your back to get it up, but with good form, you can't lift it up anymore. That muscle has reached the mechanical failure, and that's gonna give it enough stimulus that it's gonna get it to grow. The second thing I mentioned there was progressive overload. So what happens is over time, your body's going to adapt to whatever stimulus you're putting on it. If you're, doing a bicep curl, maybe you start with 25 pounds. After however long, that 25 pounds is gonna become lighter. When it becomes lighter, if you stay at that weight, it is not gonna provide the same amount of stimulus as it did in the beginning, which means you're not gonna get you're not gonna get as much results. So what you need to do is you need to increase the load to, let's say, a 30-pound dumbbell. Because then when you do that, now it's heavier, which means it's more tension on the muscle, which means that it's going to provide more of a stimulus, and it's gonna get you the results that you want. So progressive overload, we can overload in many different ways. We can overload with weight, we can overload with complexity. So going from something like, for example, a 2-armed push-up to doing a 1-arm push-up. That's progressive overload, because it's a more difficult movement to do, because you have to hold your body in place and whatnot. But it's also progressive overloading in weight, because going from 2 arms to 1 arm, now you're pressing double the amount of weight on one arm as compared to two arms. So there's many different ways you can overload it. You can overload in terms of angle. You can go deeper, like in a squat. You could go deeper in a squat than you did before. You could do speed, so you go faster on the way up, or you could go slower on the way down. You could, so many different ways to progressive overload. The main ways that any beginner or anyone needs to focus on is increasing weight over time. Going from, in a bicep curl, from 25 pounds to 30 pounds, to 35 pounds, to 40 pounds, to 45 pounds, to 50 pounds, and moving your way up over time. Because if you do that, and you're reaching that mechanical failure that I talked about, where you're putting tension on that muscle, you will see results. It's guaranteed. And one of the big issues, that the reason why you're not seeing results, because you know, when you don't know what workout program to do, you're not going to see the results because you're jumping from thing to thing. And that's the reason why you're not seeing results, is because you're not giving your body enough time to adapt to that specific exercise and then increase the weight over time. But you got to stick with it for a while and then increase the weight, and then stick with it for a while and then increase the weight, and so on and so on. It's not some fancy, exciting thing. It is relatively boring. It's super simple, and you're gonna do it for the rest of your life. Working out is not, you work out for 3 months, get in great shape, and then never work out again. It is a for the rest of your life thing. It must become one of your greatest habits, and it is part of your lifestyle. The same as sleeping, eating, hydrating properly, spending time with friends and family, enjoying life, work. All of those are things that should happen almost on a daily basis. So here's the main right thing to do. In terms of your workout, you want a workout program that you can follow and never have to think about changing it up. This is going to be it. You need to do the primary movements, which the primary movements of the human body, movement patterns, are going to be a push, it's going to be a pull, it's going to be a squat, it's going to be a hinge. So a hinge, some people might really not know what a hinge is. A squat would be like you're, squatting. Obviously, that's the name. So squat is, you're just like squatting down. Okay, we've all done that before. A hinge is gonna be like a deadlift or anything. It's when you're like bending over to touch your toes. That's a hinge. Okay, you're using your hips to bend over, as opposed to a squat where you're bending your knees to come down. Okay, so we've got the push, we've got a pull, we've got a squat, we've got the hinge, we have a carry. So like I'm doing the suitcase carries, the 30-day challenge on my YouTube channel right now. A carry, you carry something in one hand and you walk, you carry in two hands, you walk, like carrying grocery bags to it from the car, from the store and into your home. And then we've got rotation. So turning the spine. That's like throwing a baseball is rotation. Swinging a bat is rotation. And so we want to hit all those primary movements. We want to push, we want to pull, we want to squat, we want to hinge, we want to carry, and we want to rotate. Those are 6 primary movements. Now, any workout program should have those 6 things in it, and that's pretty much it. And they should primarily be compound movements. So compound and isolation. Isolation is something like a bicep curl. You curl it and you're using only your bicep muscle. You're isolating one muscle. Compound would be something like a row. So that pulling motion usually is called a row. So on a seated row machine, when you're rowing, you're using your bicep, but you're also using some of your back muscles. So that is multiple muscles, so it's compound, okay? So push, we want our program to have compound movements for each of the 6 movements. So a push, so that'd be like something like an incline bench press would be great, or a push-up for the push. A pull would be something like a seated row or a lat pull down, okay? Then for the squat, we want an actual squat. You could start with the goblet squat. It's gonna be a very good beginner's squat. You could do the seated leg press if you wanted to. Then we want a hinge. typically for people who are beginning, I'm gonna want them to stay away from hinges because that's one of the biggest injury causing movements in the gym because people don't know how to properly do them. So for the hinge, you can do a seated or laying down hamstring curl machine, or if you're just doing the squatting on the seated leg press machine or on a regular leg press machine, you're gonna get some hamstring and glute engagement, and so that's gonna make up for it for now. So for beginners, you just do like a push, a pull, a squat, skip the hinge, do the carry. Everyone should do the carry. That can be farmer's carry, so weights in both hands, or suitcase carry, weight in one hand. That could be holding a medicine ball or something that's heavy. That could be carrying a sandbag, anything like that. Just walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for time. And then rotation. Most beginners would also stay away from rotation, but rotation could be anything like a med ball slam, rotating against the wall. It could be taking a cable from the cable machine and rotating, or doing wood chops, any of those things. So for beginners, it'd typically be a push, a pull, a squat, and a carry. People who are intermediate, then we would introduce the hinge and the rotation. So it'd be a push, a pull, a squat, a hinge, a carry, and a rotation. And then for people who are very advanced, we would add some things on. So we would have a vertical push and a horizontal push. We would have a vertical pull and a horizontal pull. We would have a squat, we would have a hinge, we would have a carry, we would have a rotation, and we would have an anti-rotation. So that's a few more things. But for beginners, if you're just looking to know what workout program to do, start with a push, a pull, a squat, and a carry. So just 4 things to do. That could be incline bench press for the push. That could be seated row for the pull. That could be seated leg press for the squat, or a goblet squat for the squat. And that would be a farmer's carry or a suitcase carry for the carry. That's all you would do every single time you go into the gym. That's all you would focus on. Do a warm up, then do those things for the main workout. Then do a cool down, some stretches and whatnot. Some walking on treadmill slow to cool down. And that's all you would do every single time you work out. And over time, you would increase the weight on each of those things so that you got progressive overload and you became stronger, and you're going to see bigger muscles and everything because of that. So yeah, sort of to summarize this section, you need to pick one exercise per movement and stick to it for at least 12 weeks. So like for the push, do an incline bench press, do that for 12 weeks. Every 4 weeks or so, you're probably gonna want to most definitely increase the weight. After each week, you could probably increase the weight. So if you're working out, minimum of 2 times a week in the gym for resistance training, for weight training, each workout, if you're doing 2 times a week, you'd probably keep the weight the same, but each week you would increase the weight a little bit, probably by like 5 pounds. So if you were doing incline bench press in the first week, you would, let's say you're doing, I don't know, you're doing just the bar, 45 pounds, just the bar. And you did that for you could do it for 10 reps before you got failure. If you did your 2 workouts that week, in the following week, you'd want to see if you can put a 2.5 on each side, so that's 5 more pounds in total, and see if you can get 50 pounds now, and do that for that week, and then try to increase it. You probably will reach a point in which you get to a plateau where you can't increase the next week. That's okay, just stay at the weight that you were at and continue to do your workouts, and then the following week, increase the load. So pick one exercise per movement, stick to it for 12 weeks, progressively overload, and by the end of the 12 weeks, you'll be lifting more weights, you'll be stronger, you'll see bigger muscle size, all of that. And then you could choose to either switch exercises, so go from a incline chest press to maybe just a regular flat bench press, or you can choose to stay at the incline bench press, but just continue to progressively overload. Totally okay. And then after 12 weeks, like I said, either stay or switch exercises, but keep the movement pattern. Keep doing the push, the pull, and all those. So, for example, just to give you an example before I hop off here, this is like learning a language. If you were trying to hop between a bunch of apps, Like you downloaded Duolingo, and then you download Rosetta, and then you download Pimsleur, and then you download all these different language learning apps, and you stayed on them for like 1 week or 2 weeks, and then you jumped to the next one because you felt like you weren't seeing enough progress. Those are all different learning styles, and so what's going to happen is you're never actually really going to progress that well. You might learn a little bit of whatever language, but you're not going to be able to actually progress. So you need to stick to one specific app, one specific way, like learning style, stick to it for like 12 weeks, being consistent, progressively overload to get harder and harder over time, which is just you learning more and more vocabulary over time, and see your progress at the end of the 12 weeks. So that's what this is. You gotta, anything you gotta stick to for a certain amount of time to see progress. So stop looking for the magic routine. So yeah, here's the full game plan. Stop looking for the magic routine. Pick a simple structure like push, pull, squat, hinge, carry, and rotation. Stay on it for 90 days and let consistency and progressive overload do the work. If you do that, you are guaranteed results. Guaranteed. So if you have questions about any of this, leave comments in the comment section so that I can answer those questions. And if you want help with your workout routine and staying consistent, then put the word strong in the comments, and then I will reach out to you about how to help you to stick to that routine and what routine to do. Okay? So again, this video was mainly for people who are finding it hard to pick a workout routine. They don't know what workout routine to do. And so I know this video would have been helpful to me beginning out. I know it will be helpful to you. Follow the advice that I said. Stop looking for the magic routine. Pick a simple structure. Stay on it for 90 days and let consistency and progressive overload do the work. If you do that, guaranteed results. Let me know how it works out. Peace.